The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Leela Rhodes and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Netcom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are very excited to host today's webinar, Solve Business Challenges with Wicked Problem Solving. Presenting today's topic is Nagaraja Gundappa, and Naga is a project manager professional with over 15 years of training experience. He has been leading delivery transformation with coaching, mentoring, and project management. He has hands-on experience in all areas of project management. He's a regular speaker at PMI events and has published and presented more than 12 papers in PMI. He holds certifications in multiple methodologies, such as SPC 5.0, DAS DevOps, PMP, Black Belt in Black Belt in Six Sigma, etc. Now, please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic, and we do offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored towards your specific requirements. So if you're interested in a further discussion about any of those, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at www.netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you will get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. Netcom Learning helps customers build an innovative learning organization by achieving a smarter workforce, adapting to change, and driving growth. And we do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We have 9 practice areas in which we specialize, and they encompass people, process, and technology training. Today's presentation is from the business process practice area. Netcom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio for business process courses, and our upcoming classes include various trainings on Certified Associate in Project Management, CAPM, Discipline Agile Scrum Master, DASM, Risk Management Professional, and many more. Private training to teams is also available, and those learning plans can be customized to the specific needs of that audience. You can also access a variety of process marketing assets, such as the free 1-hour training, free on-demand training, and blogs by clicking on the available webinar handout. And these offerings can also be found with a simple search on our website at www.netcomlearning.com. In this webinar, we will explore and learn about wicked problems, 5 pillars of problem solving and standardization of project management, and much more. Now, I'll just give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started today. To start with, you have the option to adjust your window size to your liking. You can simply hit the escape key and find the Zoom button on the top left corner of your GoToWebinar viewer. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters, but you can feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters in the questions panel, and we will address them at the end of the session today. Also, to get the best out of today's webinar, we've included the slides, courses we've talked about, and marketing assets in the handout section of your GoToWebinar viewer, and you can refer to those at any time to get a better understanding of the topic. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass the time over to Naga to present today's topic. So you should be able to unmute yourself, and I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter so you can share. Naga, I practiced your name like 10 times, and I still fumbled when it was go time. Oh, you are not unmuted yet. Okay. You should be able, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Now I can hear you. I practiced like 10 times, and I get the stage fright when it comes time, and I want to get your name right so bad that I get it wrong.
You got it right the second time, though, so that was a fantastic performance, I would say. Thanks for the great introduction, Leela.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this session once again on my behalf as well. on this presentation on wicked problem solving. So what we are going to discuss today is the agenda would be what is a wicked problem, its characteristics, and examples of wicked problems, and how do we solve wicked problems. So there are certain elements of the solution. We are going to discuss 5 pillars of problem solving, and using that, how do we approach to solve wicked problems. So that's our agenda for today. What is a wicked problem? So this was a phrase originally used in social planning because it is in the social sector that you have problems that are very tricky and complex. Okay. However, in its modern sense, it was introduced in 1967 by West Churchman, and it has been now popularized in the area of project management by PMI as well. So as we grew, even as children, so we have been familiar with problem solving. So as children, we would have solved many puzzles. So solution to puzzles are straightforward. Okay, one puzzle has only one answer. So there is a right answer or a wrong answer. And as we grow into professionals, so we find more complex problems, but still these problems could be straightforward. However, there could be other problems that don't lend themselves to clear specification. They're tricky. They don't have straightforward solution. So these problems are called wicked problems. A problem that cannot be solved using a standard problem solving approach, such as a cause effect analysis. A huge number of industrial problems are solved using a method called cause effect analysis, which is also called the fishbone diagram or the Ishikawa diagram, or there are techniques such as 5 why analysis. And
Hey, Naga.
Yeah.
I am noticing your slide is not showing up in full screen. Do you mind exiting and trying to put it back into full screen mode so we can get that full screen? We're getting kind of a white ribbon to each side of it, like on the side and the bottom.
I know. But what happens is if I'm presenting through a slideshow in a window mode. So if I use the slideshow in a full screen mode, I may not be able to view the GoToWebinar control panel. So I think it should be okay. Yeah.
Okay, so can you see, like, on sharing, there should be a spot where it shows you the audience view.
No, I'm seeing that. Yes, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing
So
that. I'm seeing
if you
that
can
white
just
bar.
slide the one down to where it's filling up the audience view at all, then that would be perfect. Because we can't see the top of your slides at the moment.
How about now?
Down a little
that
more. Okay. Perfect. Oh, up just slightly.
Let me just.
Sorry. We
So
just
is
couldn't
that
even
better
see
now?
yeah, it's a little better. We've got a white ribbon around the sides as well, still, but I can see the top of your slide. Can you maybe enlarge it slightly?
No, can you see the heading? What is a wicked problem?
Yes, we can see the heading.
That's the beginning of the slide. That's the top of the slide.
Okay. Yeah, our Ben said it's good. So yeah, we just wanted to make sure we could see the whole slide. Thank you.
You're welcome. So can I continue?
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So tons of industry problems are solved using this straightforward problem solving approach. However, wicked problems cannot be solved using these standard problem solving approaches. So we need a different approach. So to summarize, a problem that is difficult or impossible to solve because of incomplete, contradictory, and changing requirements, many times difficult to recognize, are called wicked problems. So we will see the characteristics of a wicked problem in more detail. However, before that, there is a bit of a disclaimer about wicked problems. The term wicked here doesn't indicate anything evil, you know. So it just indicates that the trickiness of the problem, or trickiness of the problem which doesn't lend itself to a straightforward solution. So there is nothing evil about wicked problems. So having got the introduction to wicked problem, so let's look at some of the characteristics. What are some of the examples at a big picture, at, let's say, at the social levels? Let's say corruption. How to reduce corruption? Okay, so that is an example of a wicked problem. So first, for example, how do you define corruption? For example, if you are comparing corruption level in two different countries, how do you measure that? How do you define one country is more corrupt than another country? So it's very difficult. The problem cannot even be defined properly. And then how do you solve it? It has so many dimensions, correct? And then can it have a complete solution? So can you say the problem is completely solved? No. So let's look at, some of the characteristics of a wicked problem. They do not have a definitive formulation. Okay, we can say for COVID, we can have a definitive formulation. So there are measures, number of daily cases reported, the number of tests conducted, etc. So there is a definite plan that we can have for responding to COVID. But how do you definitively formulate corruption? Okay, so that's a social problem. Because I'm taking corruption as an example, we will take more project management examples in the later sections of this webinar, because it is in social planning that the concept of wicked problem arose in the first place. They do not have a stopping rule. So in other words, these problems lack an inherent logic that signals when they are solved. So how do you know when a country or a society has become corruption free? Very difficult. So their solutions are not true or false, only good or bad. So some measures can reduce corruption to some extent, other measures don't. So some solutions are better than other solutions. There is no way to test the solution to a wicked problem. So they cannot be studied through trial and error. Their solutions are irreversible. So when you make, in a society or in a country, when you make a law, and its impact is felt right from day one. You can change the law later on, but then the effect that it has had on the society cannot be reversed. So there is no end to the problem into the number of solutions or approaches to a wicked problem. There could be, if you were to be a leader of the country and if you invite ideas, just imagine how many thousands of ideas that you would get to handle corruption. So wicked problems can always be described as symptoms of other problems. So we can say corruption exists because some other problem exists, and that exists because of some other problem. So we can go into multiple levels of analysis. So the way a wicked problem is described determines its possible solution. Defining a wicked problem is key in trying to solve the problem, because there could be multiple formulations of the problem. The way we formulate a wicked problem drives the thinking in that direction. So in a sense, the way of formulating the problem drives a solution also. Different types of formulations of the same problem could lead to different types of solutions. And planners, that is, those who present solution to these problems, have no right to be wrong. So for example, people cannot do a lot of experimentation, so they are punished for wrong results. So that's another characteristics of this problem. Now let's come down to some of the day-to-day examples of wicked problems. So as I said, even though the concept of wicked problem arose in a social science segment in social planning. Now it is being applied in management and all the way down to project management. So let's look at some of the examples. Align the business and technical teams who have different priorities. Now, this is a tricky problem, isn't it? So what do you mean by alignment? It's difficult to align. Can you define some parameters straightforward? And how do you align? And when do you say that alignment is completely done? So it's a tricky problem. Or clarify client requirements to reduce scope changes during a project. Now, how does clarification of client requirement lead to scope changes during the project? That relationship of clarity of requirements to scope changes may not be very straightforward, because scope changes can happen for multiple reasons, not only due to a lack of requirements clarity. Okay, so let's look at a couple of other examples. Sorry, my mouse is a little sensitive, so it is running. Okay, so build organization trust among across departments. So another example here. So what do you mean by trust? How do you measure it? And how do you know whether that trust is good or bad? You can feel, but then how do you convert that feel into something tangible, which you can define, which everybody can touch and feel and have the same opinion about the concept? Very tricky, very difficult. Or let's look at another one. Break through a siloed organization. Well, a siloed organization can be defined, but how do we break through? What are we going to do, and what are we going to achieve by doing that? How do we do that? So again, it's very tricky. So these are some of the examples of wicked problems in the context of industry and all the way down to project management as well. How do we solve a wicked problem? There are 5 pillars of problem solving. 1, empathize. 2, define. 3, ideate. And then 4, develop a prototype. And 5, test it. Let me illustrate that with a case study which I was involved in. I come from a software industry, so I present this from that perspective. While bidding proposals to request for proposals of the customers for software projects, we have to carry out estimates, and based on the estimates we arrive at the schedule and the cost, and we propose the cost to the customer, and then the negotiations would be held based on that, and finally the contract would be signed. But quite often we found that there is a huge variance in these estimates. Okay, there would be a lot of inaccuracy, and we wanted to address that problem. But that's a tricky problem. It's a wicked problem, because what do you mean by a wicked problem? I mean, what do you mean by accurate estimates? How do you know? So it's only when we develop the project and looking at the actual effort that the project consumed, that we can know whether the original estimate met the final actual estimate or not. But then the project would have gone through so many changes during the course of execution that in the end what we delivered would have been different from the initial specification which we estimated for. So what do we compare our estimates with? So there is no absolute reference. So how do you measure accuracy, and how do you improve it? So it's a very tricky problem. So in order to do that, we had to collaborate and brainstorm and invite multiple points of view, and understand or empathize with the practitioners. So what we did is, in the first step, we tried to understand why there is so much of variation. So we dropped accuracy and we looked at variation. So why there is a variation, and so we consulted many practitioners and found that the practitioners were comfortable estimating if the units of estimation are based on something that they deliver on a day-to-day basis. However, while submitting the estimate, they were made to submit estimates using some other units which are not the actual units that they produce in their day-to-day work. So we found it out through an empathy, and then we defined the problem of the estimate. So we said that there should be a common framework where the project specification would be defined or broken down into the units that the teams would produce. So that was, so how to define these units, how to define their size and complexity, that would be the solution. So how to define the units that would be delivered for a specification, how to determine the size and complexity of these units was the question or the problem that was defined. Okay, so from a vague area, through empathy, we came to the definition stage, and then we ideate. So we what do we mean by ideate? We brainstorm and as a group and come out with multiple ideas, and then pick up the common ideas from the ideation. And here in this case, we identified different types of units and put that into a framework. And we also came up with certain guidelines which would say, hey, which unit would be of what size and what complexity factor based on certain guidelines. Now, we did not develop a very thorough methodology by itself. We simply came out with some sample guidelines and sample units that could be considered as a prototype of that solution. And then we tested it. So what we did was, we took some projects that were completed. We took the initial estimates of those projects, and then we looked at their initial estimation as well, and then we looked at the final actual effort. So we took these three pieces: so the specification, the initial estimate for the specification, and the final actual effort. And in that final actual effort, we discounted all the additional effort spent on additional requirements. So that way we could finally come out with what was the initial specification, what was the initial estimate for this specification, and what was the final effort for this same specification. Then we engaged some people who were not familiar with these projects. So we gave them the initial specification and then asked them to carry out an estimate using this new framework. And when they did that, their estimates matched very close to the actual estimate. So in the earlier case, while there was a difference of 30 to 40% difference between the initial estimate and the actual effort, by using the new framework, the difference came down to about 5 to 10% on a case-to-case basis. So then we came to know that, hey, this method is working, the variation has reduced. So then we go back and present it to the practitioners, seek their feedback, and then refine the methodology and define a full-fledged framework, and then rolled it out across the organization. So that would be a solution. That's one way of solving wicked problems. Here again, the estimation framework only increased accuracy, but it was not a final solution. You cannot say that the problem is solved, because from a variation level of 30 to 40%, we came down to 5 to 10%. Would we call it a solution? Not necessary. So is that the end of the road? Have we solved it completely? Not necessary. There is further scope for improvement. So we can improve upon and maybe reduce the variation to from 5 to 10% to maybe 2 to 5%. So continuous improvements and alternate solutions can always be explored for this same problem. So wicked problems, we can never say that they are completely solved. We can only keep improving upon and on the solution. So this approach which we described previously can also be described in a different way. What is the approach to solve wicked problems? Break down information into nodes and links. What happens while solving wicked problems is, when we do this empathize, so we may have to discuss various ideas, and we may have to represent these ideas in a diagrammatic manner so that we get the big picture. So basically we can use techniques such as mind maps or dialogue maps, which will have these nodes and links and so on. And through that we can visualize the information. And then in order to do that, we have to collaborate and include the stakeholders in the process. So we include, like in the previous example, we included the actual estimators, and then come out with a solution, release solutions quickly, and gather continuous feedback and carry out multiple iterations. So this would be another way of looking at an approach to solve wicked problems. And through that, what are the benefits of wicked problems? It increases reliability. So now, because we are using, in the estimation case, because we are using an estimation framework, the estimates are more reliable now. And there is consistency, because earlier, without this framework, different estimators were carrying out estimates in their own way. But now all the estimators were following a single same framework, so there would be consistency in the results, or consistency in the process of estimation. So that's also, consistency also means reusability and repeatability. So we reuse and repeat these estimation exercises in the same way. Efficiency. The estimators could carry out estimates faster using the framework compared to using carrying out estimates using their expert judgment, or doing based on their common sense. And it would involve predictability, relatability, competitive edge, customer satisfaction, etc. So when you when your estimates are close to what could be considered as reality, then you can deliver on time, on budget. So it leads to customer satisfaction of the management stakeholders as well. So it increases the happiness of everybody. So this way we standardized the estimation process. So similarly, many situations in project can be standardized through a wicked problem solving approach. So some of the organizations have studied benefits of standardization quantitatively also. I'm just displaying one example. There is a graph here, okay, which is looking at error reduction in percentage. Okay, and then when through the wicked problem solving approach, when some standardization guidelines have been released, so there are places where there was low adherence to standardization, intermediate adherence to standardization, and high adherence to standardization. Now if you see all the 3 points here, so the 3 lines correspond to low discretion, intermediate discretion, and high discretion. So when high discretion is used by the practitioners, but compared to low adherence, which is increasing the errors rather than reducing them. So error reduction is negative, minus 50%. However, when there is a high adherence to standardization, there is a plus 50% in error reduction. So 50% of the errors have been reduced while adhering to standards. So this is the kind of results that we can expect when we standardize project management scenarios through standardization by solving by the wicked problem solving approach. So that brings us to the close of the presentation. Thank you for listening to the presentation so far, and I would hand the control back to Leela for the question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all that information. It was wonderful listening to you. Before we do get right into the question answer session, we are actually going to go ahead and hear from Eliza, and she's our product manager. She's going to introduce some promotions and webinar related courses for us. Eliza, I'm going to go ahead and make you the presenter now. You should be able to share your screen.
Thank you so much, Leela. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
All right. So before I take everybody through the promotions, and considering that we have Naga over here today, and I know nothing about wicked problem solving, this is so new to me, to be very honest. Wicked problem solving was actually recently, not very recently, but just a couple of months back, as a matter of fact, was introduced by PMI. And I saw a lot of people, signing up for this particular program and, taking the e-learning for wicked problem solving and so on and so forth. So I have a couple of questions for Naga. Naga, can you please tell me that, when you have seasoned project managers who have vast experience of maybe 5 to 10 years, and they come from different verticals. Some project managers are coming from the IT vertical. Some of them are coming from the construction vertical. Some of them are coming from a different vertical, healthcare vertical altogether, right? So when you talk about these kind of project managers, how do you think that wicked problem solving would help them in their current managing of the projects that they have, in the current project management process?
Project management is always laden with challenges, and they're full of wicked problems.
You don't have to tell me about that. I already know.
So now there are frameworks after frameworks that are emerging. So if you walk back all the way to about 25 years back, the projects used to be managed in a champion mode, and then came the ISO standards, the PMIs, PMBOK, and the CMMI to introduce some discipline, but then they became heavy, and now it led to emergence of agile, frameworks such as Scrum, now SAFe, disciplined agile, Kanban, and so on. And yet the problems persist. So how do we carry out estimate? It's still a big problem in the industry. Estimation accuracy is a big problem. And then, how do we get the requirements right? So clarity and completeness of initial requirements is a big problem. So even Scrum teams, they develop and deliver the deliverables, but the customer says, no, this is not what I wanted. So it leads to rework and cost escalation. So these issues can be brainstormed and solved based on the context. So many times we may not be able to present uniform guidelines to be followed by everybody. So we may not be able to follow a one size fits all type of a solution. So we may have to get down to specific solution which is specific to the context. So that's where wicked problem solving helps in solving regular problems in a very context specific manner.
Correct. Naga, I'm very fortunate to say this as a matter of fact, that you are one of our go-to subject matter experts and instructors when it comes to PMP, when it comes to disciplined agile, Scrum Master, senior Scrum Master, and so on and so forth. So, something like wicked problem solving. Now that I am a PMP already, I understand the DASM. I understand which technique should I use, as a matter of fact, in order to, take care of a particular project. But with this tag on of wicked problem solving, because even after you know these approaches, you still have problems. There's absolutely not a single project that I have seen that has not emerged with different kinds of problems. And problems are actually in a nature, they're so different every time. So with a course like this of wicked problem solving, what do you think are the chances of mitigating, and what kind of impact would it have on my risk register?
So the quantitative graph that I presented, so that shows, one example of how much improvement you can make. So impact depends on the effectiveness with which an organization or an organization unit is able to apply these methods. However, if I can share from my own experience, I have solved wicked problems in methods which are very similar to what is formally called as wicked method problem solving. So most of these methods, they're practiced over a period of time and then they get a name at a later point of time. So I have practiced wicked problem solving before it got a name as wicked problem solving. So based on my experience, we have solved wicked problems and propagated the solution across the industry, and over by averaging out a large cross section of projects, we could achieve 13% reduction in overruns. So when you say risk register, a risk register may be a little complex to talk about, because risks can be related to quality, schedule, cost, etc. So cost and schedule can give us a better number. So we could reduce cost and schedule overruns by 13%.
Okay, that's fantastic. Naga, because of wicked problem solving, and I want to learn this course, I'm actually going to enroll myself into the course. I could have a million questions for you, but I'm not going to. Otherwise, Leela will probably find me, hunt me down. So I'm just gonna take everybody through different promotions and different upcoming events that we actually have. So as you guys can see, I am on my website. And Naga, thank you so much. Really, it's always a pleasure having you. So as you guys can see that we are on our website. Anytime you want to come to our website, it's very simple, www.netcomlearning.com. And what I want to bring your attention to is actually the Netcom Unlimited. Now, I understand I have, different kinds of people in this webinar right now. I might have seasoned project managers. I might have people who are probably, starting with their CAPM, which is Certified Associate in Project Management. And then I might have some people who want to pursue their PMP, or people who are, actually trying to select the right path and who can go for the DASM. Now, what I wanted to bring to your attention is, yes, you can take these courses with Netcom Learning. We are a PMI authorized training partner, and you're more than welcome to take these courses with us. But I wanted to bring your attention to Netcom Unlimited, which actually opens up the VILT, actual instructor-led training, available to you for a very small price. So as a matter of fact, instead of me purchasing all of these courses, separately, I can probably have access to all of these courses instructor-led, not just the e-learnings, but instructor-led courses available to me. All you have to do is just come to this page and select PMI as your vendor. And you're going to see various courses, including the PMP, the ACP, the RMP. You have Agile and Scrum practices. We're planning on adding the DASM to it as well. It hasn't happened yet, but we're working on it. So we're working on this, and you're more than welcome to sign up for this particular subscription. Pricing, if you ask me, and I don't want to sound too salesy, If you take a PMP course, it costs about like $2,995. And for the same price, you can have other courses open to you as well. If you want to purchase a subscription just for one person, it's $2,999. And if it is a team, you have a team, you're a decision maker, and you call the shots of what kind of training. And your team is also diverse. It's not just project management. Some people need technology training. Some people need PMI training. So you will be able to see that there are so many vendors actually in the Netcom Unlimited subscription that you can sign up for. You have PMI, you have ITIL, you have Cisco, CompTIA, EC Council, Microsoft, you have Adobe, you have Autodesk, you have AWS. So all of these vendors and courses from them, it has over 500 courses, as a matter of fact, which are instructor-led courses. You will see e-learnings in there also, and then you have some extra courses on leadership and management, and you have some technical courses as well. But to bring you back to PMI one more time, so I'm just going to take you back to the home screen. The easiest way to come to our PMI page is just come to our home screen, and where you see this, just click on PMI right over here. And you will be able to see, now, if you want to go ahead and see if we are actually an authorized training partner, this is something that you should do with all the partner websites. As a matter of fact, if you click on this logo, it will take you to our Credly badge as well. But on this particular page, let me just close this chat. On this particular page, you can download a brochure. You can see what are our popular products. You can see what are the popular courses, and that is coming from a recommendation engine. As a matter of fact, what people are buying the most nowadays. You have different certifications that people are going for, the most popular ones. And then we also have resources available for you that you can actually, use in order to understand a little bit more about what we do with PMI. To bring you to other resources and promotions, and I'm going to take you to a promotion, but I'm going to have a very small ask as well. So if you come to our promotions page, what you will be able to see is free project management training. It's somewhere here. There we go. So you have the free project management training, which is a 2-hour class, and it's completely customizable. Yes, it comes with its own course outline, but if you want to customize that course outline, or you want to talk about a specific thing, like I only want to learn about time management, or I only want to understand about, stakeholder management, or I only want to learn conflict resolution. You want to take a 2-hour class for that, you are more than welcome to ask us for this free project management training. Now, my small ask that I was going to ask, let me just ask you that right now. We expect at least 10 people in one group, and this is an enterprise 2-hour class that we are running for you. So it has to be same organization and at least a group of 10 people asking us for this training. Anybody, one decision maker can come to us, let us know the number of learners and the day and the time when you want this training. You will see this training doesn't come with a schedule. It's up to you when you want it, and we set it up for you. We want to make sure that your team is all available for that particular training. So if you want to see your course details, you're more than welcome to do that. To bring you to other resources, you can always come in and you can read blogs. We have so many blogs on Discipline Agile, on PMP. There's one on wicked problem solving as well, which I just got to yesterday. I did not know it was there. You also have access to free assessments. So each and every course that you go to has its own free skill assessment. And if you want to assess yourselves, you're more than welcome to go ahead and take the free skill assessment. You can go through case studies, and you can come and sign up for more events. Now, our events, as a matter of fact, they're divided amongst practice areas. What you were today into was business processes. But you have other practice areas according to which we have events coming up as well. Data and AI, you have networking, you have cloud, you have business apps, and then business process. You have another one coming up on November 2nd, which I think everyone should sign up for. If you're here, please be there as well. And it's how to manage your projects with Disciplined Agile. Definitely sign up for this particular event, and then any other event. We also have past events. So if you want to actually look at the archives of what we've done before, you're more than welcome to come into our all recorded webinars as well. So that's pretty much all I have. I wanted to take you through our promotions and various deals available for you and other different courses. So back to you, Leela. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eliza. I love how much engagement you get out of these even. I think sometimes we are able to get even more questions from you than we even get from our audience, because I think sometimes it's a lot of information to get through and people aren't sure what to ask or how to put their questions into words. So we are going to go ahead and jump right into our audience questions. If you do have anything, go ahead and put it into the chat box, because once we complete the questions, we will wrap up the session. So don't be shy. Our first question we have is, do agile methodologies belong to the category of wicked problem-solving approach?
Yes, of course. The very root or the very heart of agile assumes that you gain knowledge over a project in a progressive manner, and you need to figure out the problem and defined in a progressive elaboration manner, and solutions would also be formulated in a collaborative manner. So agile methods are not exactly wicked problem solving, but they have a lot in common with wicked problem solving. Agile methods are a universal solution, so they can provide relief to some of the problems to some extent, but then to solve problems specific to the context of each teams, they have to use wicked problem solving in addition to the frameworks, agile frameworks that they use. I hope that answers the question.
Wonderful, thank you. Let's see, our next question we have, and let me first just check where we are on time. I want to make sure that we're doing good there. Okay, so our next question we have is, what is the difference between design thinking and wicked problem solving?
I would say the answer would be very similar to the answer that I gave to the previous question. Design thinking is almost coincides with wicked problem solving, but some of the tools and techniques used in wicked problem solving are different in design thinking. Design thinking can be applied to solve straightforward design problems as well as wicked problems, and the tools and techniques vary. In design thinking, the solutions are largely definitive, but in wicked problems, solutions are largely partial. So that is the difference between wicked problem solving and design thinking, I would say. And I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you so much. Right now, I'm seeing one more question in our questions. And so if no other questions come in, we will wrap up after this final question. So what are some additional examples of project management where wicked problem solving approach can be applied?
So during the presentation, we took an example of estimation. Increasing clarity and completeness of requirements. So that could be another area of applying wicked problem solving. Or in agile teams, how to make retrospectives more effective. So many times in agile teams, they simply go through the motions while conducting the lessons learned sessions as part of the sprint retrospectives. But how do you make that lively and contain some essence? So that would be a wicked problem, and you have to use wicked problem solving approach to make retrospectives more useful. So I think these are some of the two examples that are right now it is surfacing on my mind now.
Wonderful, thank you. And shared with us by Eliza is a PDU claim code. So I am going to go ahead and pop that into the chat for our audience. If anyone needs that PDU information, it is going into the chat right now. As of now, I do not see any additional questions. So I'm going to go ahead and thank you so much for joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedule to present this webinar. Now we are going to go ahead and launch a quick poll to find out how many people might be interested in taking some additional training. In addition to the webinar today, we have a lot of informative webinars that are coming up. So please go to www.netcomlearning.com/webinars/ to register for any of those. We want to thank you all for joining us today. If you do come up with any additional questions, please feel free to send them to us at webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. And we hope you all found today's webinar to be very informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us very soon. Also, feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Once again, thank you everyone, and have a wonderful day.